That's what we're going to be doing. Okay. Okay. So we're going to be starting the class now. We're going to be starting the class now. First, let me open my Visual Studio Code. Okay. I believe you all can see what I have here already. Hello?
Yeah, we're following.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Go ahead, Austin. We can see.
yes.
Okay. Now, like in our last class, I introduced HTML. We talked about the meaning of HTML. We talked about some other features, the HTML tags and some elements. Yes, we did talk about that last weekend. And also in the video I posted, I said so many things in the video, which I'll just run through them in a couple of minutes for us to get what we actually are here for today. So we talked about HTML last weekend. Hold on, let me just open my code so you will see. Let me drop this. Sorry. Okay. Now, we talked about some things. I just want to open my, okay, now I can open my screen now. Let me share the VS Code so you'll be seeing the screen side by side. Okay. We talked about a lot of things last weekend. And I'm going to be saying them, like, just go through it again as a reference rather. Now, we talked about the H tag. We said the H tag is the heading tag, and it ranged from 1 to 6. And I also said some things about it. I said the higher the value of the H tag, the smaller the font size. Okay? Like what we did, we talked about H1. I said hello, using this word hello, and it appeared here. I said this H1 has a bigger font size and it's bold because it's a heading tag. And we talked about it by using this and other properties attached to this. I also used the H2. We talked about the H2, H3, H4 till like H6. Let me just put the H6 so we'll see what it looks like. Still say hello. Now, you can see the difference between the H1 and the H6 tag. That the H1 is bigger and it has a bold font, while the H6 still has a bold font but is smaller in size. So we said the higher the value, the smaller the font size of the H element. That was what we talked about last weekend. And I also talked about the paragraph tag, which is denoted as the P tag. The P tag, I said the P tag also has an opening tag and a closing tag. I said we can write our text within the P tag. What we write here is a plain text. I'll say this is my HTML course. Something like this. You can see it's different from the header. The heading tag is a plain text. That's what we used to write plain text in our web page. Okay. We discussed this last week. I said some things about it, and this is how it looks like, and we can work with it. Today, we're going to be working with this P tag more, even with the H tag. I'm going to be doing some different things, but I'll make reference to the two tags. Okay. So now, this is one of the things we talked about. Also, we talked about the image tag, img tag, and we said the image tag has some attributes where we can use, which we can use to add the images to our web page. And I said one of the attributes here is the source attributes. This is where we put our image, like the site, or as in the link or the image we have in our system. This is where we put it for it to display on the web. I have some images here. Let me just say this. Let me check.
Classic pair of Simon Imperial wingtips in the mail, and the customer sent me an amazing letter, and I really have to share it with you. Anyhow, here are my shoes. Growing up, my father always had a pair of these. His father always had a pair. And in the early 1990s, when I was around 20 years old, my mother and father took me out shopping. Little did I know, another pair.
Okay. So like I said, for the image tag, we add our image tag using the source. I can just type football. I have one image here, football. You can see I've added an image here. Okay, this is how we add image. Like I said in the video also, we can add our image using the image tag, targeting the source. Within the source, we put the link or the name of the image we have on our system. So this is how we add an image. And also we can give it a name like the alternate, just in case the image is broken or it does not really display based on poor internet connection. You will still fall back to what you have. It will indicate that this is actually the kind of image that is here. Let me just show you something. Let's say football image. Let me just say football img, and I decide to delete this one. Let's assume there's no network and we don't have this image here. You will see the alternate. It will fall back and tell us, oh, this image that is broken here is actually a football image. So in case we are trying to check, oh, what kind of image do I have here? You will see that it's a football image. But if this image is not here, if this image, this thing wasn't here, you see now there will be nothing there. Everything will just go out like that. Okay, so that was one of the things we talked about. And we also talked about other tags like the video tag. I didn't really mention the audio tag, but I'm going to mention it in this class now. The audio tag, we talked about the list tag, which is the UL, the OL. OL lists, that's the ordered list, and the unordered list. We did something like this. For the ordered list, we said it's a kind of list that has values attached to it, let's say either numbers or alphabet or numeric, this or what is it called, Roman figure, whichever way you want to add it. Like for this ordered list, we have something like this. I can call a name, let's say name list name. That's for the first one. I can also say list address, something like this. You see now it's listing, adding values like 1, 2, 3. This is what we call ordered list. I mentioned this. For ordered list, it will give you series of numbers from 1 through the number you want. And we can also change this by giving it a type. By giving it a type. If we can say, let's give it a type of small letter A, and you can see everything will change to ABC to start giving you a list of A, B, C, D, and the likes. You can decide to change it to Roman figure, and it will give you I1, II, and the likes. That's for the ordered list. But for the unordered list, we talked about this, saying it's a kind of list that does not require the value or any other thing. Rather, it's placed with the bullet sign. Okay, if I call the same name, name. If I call the same name, you see it appeared with a bullet sign on the web page. Okay, so that's the difference between the ordered list and unordered list. And this is what we use normally on our web page to get, let's say, the list of items, like the header of our web page, the navigation bar, where you see in some websites, like for instance, I have a website here, and you can see something like this: home, about, plans, fact, and contact. These things here, they are put here using lists, majorly unordered list. All these things here, they are all used, they are all placed here with the list. Okay, in our website. This is one of the things we use list for. Let's go back to what we have here. I'm just trying to go through what we did last week and also from the video, what I have in the video. That's for the list aspect. Also, we talked about table. We talked about table, how to construct a table. We said a table is a list of items that is placed in rows and columns. In rows and columns. But in this website aspect, we only place our tables in rows. That's table rows. But it's displayed on the web page in rows and column, but is placed here in rows. For instance, let me show you what we did. We say for every first table row is the heading of our web page, as in our table construction. Every first table row, like if you check your Excel sheet, you see in every Excel sheet there is a first line, like row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every first row you can see either the heading or the company's name, something like that. But in HTML we still have similar thing. Like for every first row we have our heading. I can decide to put something like this and say TH, which is denoted as the table head. I can say let the TH be first, let it be for name. Another TH will be for address, something like this. And the last one, let me just put the last one will be for let's say phone number, something like this. Something like this. And if I want to impute my values or my data below this, like, okay, I've given a heading, constructed a heading like for names, address, and phone number. Let me just put something like this, phone numbers. Now, I have this already as the table head. Okay, if I want to impute my data, like for each name, I'll have to have a list of name. For the address, I'll have to put some address and also phone number. I can simply do the same thing by opening another table row, by saying table row again, and I will say table data. Now, this is for data, not for the head anymore. Table data. Let's say for the first name, I'll put my name here and say Austin. You see now Austin has appeared below the name as a data. You see it's different. The font size, the font weight is different. Like this one is bold because it's a heading. Anytime you see any H, either H1 or table TH, you know it's a heading and it's always bold. It's always bold. Okay, that's the difference. You see this one is just like paragraph. It's kind of light, plain text. So that's for the name. I'll have another table data, and I can say address. Let's just say I'm currently in Benin City, something like that, Benin City. So that will be my address. You can see is simply directly under the address. Then the last thing I can just add here will just be my table data for the phone. I can just say 08012345678, something like this. You can see the data is directly below the phone. So we have our name, our address, and our phone number, something like this. This is how you construct your table. You keep adding, and it will be going down like that. That's what we do in table. Now, I believe this one is kind of clear to us. Now, there are other things I made mention of. We talked about inputs. Yeah, I remember I talked about input. Sorry, I'm deleting all this. I'm trying to maintain my space here. Talked about input. And I said we have different type of inputs. Now, input, what we use for input is simply what we use to create a search box, something like that. I believe you know what search boxes are. I'm trying to figure something out here. Okay, let me just say, okay, something like this. This Google search bar here, even this one here, we can create that in our HTML2 by simply saying input input, and I said the input tag always have it has a description, kind of like for type. What type of input are you applying to the web page? Are you putting on the web page? What kind of input are you putting on the web page? Like for this one now, this is for text. I can just say AZFG like that, something like that. Okay, sorry. Let me just add it here. Just type something like this. You can see I've written some text in it, but somebody can just come online and see this as an empty box. They might not really know what this box is there for, but you can really give it an identity for people to see. When they come online or come to your page, they will know, oh, what kind of box is this? Like for the YouTube, you will call it search box, something like that. But how do we do that? We call a placeholder, what we call a placeholder. Within this placeholder and codes, that's where we put the indicator to the box. Like for instance, I can say enter full name, something like this. It will show there like this, full name. This box, we now know that this box is for name alone. This box is for name alone. I can decide to open another box. Let me just say by adding a break, open another input box and call this one password. And I can give an indicator and say password. This will be my password. Something like this. So it will show password here. And when I type in something, you see how it looks. You see now the box is specially made for password. That means you can't see anything the user is typing. Only the user knows what he or she has typed on the web page. That's what we use for password. So you can see now this is the way we add table and our input to the web page. This is the way we add our input to web page. I also talked about text area. Text area, I said, is a form of box where we write text like our mail and other comments, where we put that in our web page. Something like this. I still have, okay, let me go to this contact. I know they have a text area here, something like this. You can create that. If you can see my web page clearly, can you all see this box on the right side that I'm hovering on? Hello?
Yes, you can see it.
Yeah, so these are the text boxes. Like this one is for name, this one is for email, this one is for subject, and this one is for message. Now this text area, that's what I want to show us. Now for the text area, how do we do that? We say text area. Okay, sorry, I'm not supposed to type this like this, but let it just come up. Okay, now our text area actually is presented in columns and rows. Columns and rows. You can see here columns and rows. If I try to increase the column to like 50, it will give us a stretched. You can see now the text box is stretched, something like that. I can decide to reduce the rows of the box to like 5, and you see how small it would be, something like this. So it depends on what kind of size of box you want for your website. If you want a bigger one, you just type increase the row. If you want a stretched one, you increase the column. And you can also give it a placeholder and tell the user what they need to add there. You can say, I want you to put something like comments. Okay, this is where you say all your comments. If you see here, comment has appeared there. So if I type anything there, so I'm trying to send my comment to the web, I'm trying to send my comment to the company. So that box can be for comments. Like for Facebook, you all know what Facebook box is, and the display property is. They say what's on your mind. What's on your mind? Something like this. So you see what's on your mind. This is how Facebook text box is. So you can simply tell what you have in your mind. And with that, now you can also have a button, because for every text box there is need for a button to be submitted. We also talked about button. I said there are two ways in which we can add a button to our website. Either we use the input aspect and call it submit, and it becomes a button. You can see now a button has appeared here. We can change this submit value. You can give it a value and say, let's say post, something like this. Now the button has changed, and it's carrying the word post, the value post, instead of the submit. So we can either place a button like this, or we put the natural way of adding button. I'll just say button. Now this is our button. Now you can see here the button has appeared, but it does not have any pin attached to it. I have to call a name I want. I have to give it a value. I can say let this button be for send. Now you see, now we have another button. So these are the two ways we write or we input buttons in our system. Either with the input, you have to give it a type, and the type for buttons is for submit. The type for button is submit. Whereas we can also do this by calling the button tag and giving it a value. Okay, so these are the two ways in which we can add button to our web page. So that's that for that. Now this evening, I want to really introduce something. Although I talked about video tag, I didn't mention the audio tag. I'm going to start with that, and I'm still going to talk about the video tag. There are some things I didn't mention in my video. I said the video tag is one tag which we use to add videos to our web page. Like for those who are going into blogging and other stuff, even YouTubers, you can add videos to your website by simply calling the video tag like shift less than video greater than, something like this, and it has a corresponding closing tag. Now for the video tag, I said it's just like the image tag. It must have a source where you will call the title of your video for it to display on the web page. So that was what I said. And if you want to do that, every video, when you target it and put it on the web page, every video on the web page appears like an image. It does not really have a function until we call some attributes for it, to have effect, like all those display, all those play function, pause, and the likes. So for instance, let me just show you what I told you about video in the video I sent. Now for the video, for us to do this, we have to add the video we want to really put here. I have a video here. Okay, I call it movie.mp4. okay, I'll just say, let me just target it. Now movie.mp4, if you check, video has appeared on the screen, but it's too wide. I want to add a bit of CSS. Sorry, to add a bit of CSS for us to see that. Let me just give it 400 px. Now this is the video. It does not really have anything attached to it, like the play button or anything. I'm clicking for it to play, but nothing is happening. For this video to really play, we have to do something by calling what I said, controls, to have those functions. You can see now the video has gotten the play button and every other button you can think of. This for the volume and everything. So if I play this now, the video is going to play. You can see now the video is playing actually. Something like this. Let me just stop this. Let me stop this. Something like this. I made mention of this in my video, but there is a way you can still do it. I know you guys have come across some videos on the web page that will keep playing and playing and playing, but you will not see any button attached to it. You can also do that. You can also do that to your own video. Like if you want to attach a video to your website without the user having access to this play button and any other thing, it will just keep playing. And say for all these banking websites, you will see a customer that walked into a bank and go to the cashier, do something, go out, go to the club. After that, the video will end, it will start again, like that, like that. You can do that by doing something. Instead of calling controls, I'll use the word auto play. Something like this. It will play actually, but without the buttons. You can see now, it's playing, but without the buttons. Okay, so this is another way of making our video play online without the user having access to the buttons for the play, stop, and everything. And if you want the video to keep playing, now the video has stopped, I want it to loop, so that every 20 seconds after the video has ended, in the 20 seconds, it will continue, something like that. So it will keep repeating, and repeating, like that. And one more thing, if I don't want my video to be making noise like this, I can decide to mute it by calling the property muted. Okay, not just mute, rather muted, so that it will keep playing non-stop. Autoplay will make it to play. The loop will make it to continue playing. If it finished, it will continue. And the muted will make it not to make any sound. Rather, you can just, the video will keep playing. You can scroll past it and do any other thing. See, it has started again. Something like that is a way you can put a permanent video on your web page. For those of us, like I said, who want to go into some other things, like if you have a company, is how you do it, but you just put all these properties. Okay, so that one is for video. Now for the audio, let me just call the audio property the same thing like the video. You can just call the audio, and I have an audio here. Okay, something like this. I can just call this one, and the audio itself, let me see. See now, I've called the audio. It's not displaying until I do the same thing I did for the video to add controls. Now you can see the audio has appeared here. Let me just bring it down by adding a break. Something like this. Now you can see this audio now. You can see this audio. If I click on the play button, it will start playing. Something like this. So that's what the audio actually does. That's what the audio actually does. If you want to put an audio in your web page, something like that, you can put it and also add this same function here, the loop. It will keep playing. One sound will keep repeating like that. You can make it your background sound. It all depends on what you want on your web page. You can put a background sound, and whoever is surfing your web page and everything will be enjoying the song that is playing calmly from the background. So that's a way of adding audio. So now I guess we are done with the audio and video part. So another thing I want us to look at this evening is actually some aspect of the HTML that requires the CSS part. Although it's not CSS, but our CSS in HTML. Like for instance, I want to copy some text from this website. Let me just copy some text from here. Okay, because I want to do something. Let me just copy some of this text. Copy this. Go back to our web page. I want to borrow some text. I will put that in a p tag, something like this, and I'll paste it here. When I do this, now you see the p tag, it has appeared here. We have a very long text. Although if you check the web, you see now the text is not really long. It's just is a broken text from first line, second line, third line. This is the fourth line, but on the web page, it's showing us as a single text. It's showing us as a single text. But for us to break it the way it is on our web page, like say we are an experienced investment company that offers, now the next line again, we can go there and still break it by adding our break tag, BR tag. Now you see now the diverse business option has come down to the next line, something like that. We can also break it to add, okay, we trade in monetary, but let me just add after the full stop, let me just add the BR tag again, something like that. So it will come down. Now you see, we've done this. I made mention of this from the video, how to break our text and bring not just text, you can break any inline element or even some block element, you can break it and bring it down to the next line, whichever way you want. Now I've done this using the break tag. I want to use this and add some CSS property to this, which is the HTML element actually. Now, the first one I'm going to be talking about, like to italicize some text. I believe we all know what italicize means. So I want to make some text italicized. Let's assume, say we are an experienced investment company. I want to make this investment company to be italicized. I can just come here and use, there are two tags we can use to make this happen. The first one is the I tag, shift less than I, small I actually, greater than, and the I tag, we can now cut the text we want to. I want this one, company, experience investment company. I'll cut this investment company. I've made this italicized. You can see this, right? I've made this italicized. So it's not different from the normal text. It's not different from the normal text. Hope you can all see this. So it's different from the normal text. Another way I can do this, either I can also use, okay, let me italicize another aspect. I can just talk about this business option to customers. I want to use the second property for this business options to customers. This one I'm going to use will be the emphasis, like the emphatic tag, which is denoted as EM, like shift less than, EM greater than, something like this. Then I'll cut the aspect I want